lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate across North America. Reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Today we're here with Mallory Howard. She is the CEO of Viaflore. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and what you do?
Sure. So Viaflore is a company that is focused on change. We support individuals and organizations through change, whether it be individually through health and wellness changes, which could range from, I want to get sleep. I want to incorporate more fitness into my life, or even a lot of my clients right now are focused on career transformation, which is really exciting because I can relate very much to that.
Yes.
And then when it comes to organizations, it's about organizational change and change management. It's something that's becoming much more needed nowadays as people are going through digital transformations, and there's so much happening, especially in tech, in terms of trying to make improvements organizationally to efficiencies and effectiveness. And so having someone that's able to come in and help them with a structured way of doing change and also caring about employees and how they're affected by the change and their own personal wellness is really critical.
And you talked a little bit about career change. So
Yes.
why don't you share with us what
Yes.
that meant to you?
Yes. So I was in corporate world, working for a tech company for 16 years. Pretty much right out of college. That's what I jumped into doing. And I say jumped into it, I kind of fell into it, really. My major was actually in film and television. So I was a screenwriting major.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm also an actress. And so that's where I thought my path was headed. But, life does what it does. And I ended up working for this company and kind of fell in love with the work. I discovered that I really like doing strategy. I really like supporting people. I was in corporate security, so it was really interesting learning all the compliance of that. But I got to a point in my career, I had grown up through the company. I had built roles for myself that I was really excited about, reaching the director level. It had a recent promotion, and I had the opportunity to make a change. And I looked at where I was and what I always thought my life was going to be, and things just weren't aligned. And so I said, why not take this opportunity and do something different and do something for myself, something that's really going to enable my family to have more of me, have more of me, and being able to do the things that I loved and always wanted to do. So I set off and started my own business, Viaflore. And it has, in 1 year, evolved into something I didn't even imagine, but I'm really excited.
And wonderful and yet terrifying.
Terrifying. Still is terrifying.
Yes.
Every day. It takes a lot of risk to make this change, especially having little kids. I have a mortgage. I have all these things. But I'm lucky to have the support of my family, in particular my husband, in making this shift. And it's been really exciting.
Yeah. So it's not easy. Definitely not easy.
No.
And probably, I would say you probably have had, even over the last year, seasons where you're like, oh, yes, it's going so well. And then, oh, shoot, no, it's different, bad. Oh, gosh. And then great. And then, it really is probably a roller coaster, I would say, for the first few years.
Oh, yeah. Like it's I couldn't have expected what has happened.
Yeah.
It was like I left my company. I said I was going to take a little bit of a break. I was like, I need to relax. I've been going at 100 miles an hour for a very long time. But of course, with me, I was not able to do that. I jumped right into building my company. And I'll admit, within the first month or so, it was like burnt out already. Because, going into entrepreneurship a little bit that, I'm running the business and I'm also doing the work of the business.
Yeah.
But until you start doing it, I don't think you really realize how much that takes, especially with everything else that you have going on in your life. Yeah. And so I burnt myself out a little bit, even though my company was there. And then I started to think, is this really what I want to do? Because it takes so much more work. And do I really like doing this? Because I transitioned into doing pretty much what I was doing in the corporate world. I've been doing change management, project management. Yeah. But there was an aspect of it that was missing for me, which was having employees, coaching people, and working one-to-one. And so I even pivoted. Within a few months of having my company, I pivoted a little bit and added in the personal coaching for change as well. So yeah, It's a lot, but it's afforded me a lot of flexibility and to now do some of the things that I love, like acting and writing. So it's wonderful that way.
So Mallory, I'm so glad that you actually touched on that a little bit. No, about the pivot, because I think that a lot of people, if it's not exactly the way that they thought that it was going to go, they get discouraged.
Right.
And, I think, being able to be kind of, I want to say, fast on your feet, being able to make those pivots, being able to, hone down on, hey, I really want this part to bring this in. Being able to do that, I think, is pretty remarkable. Well, because it's courageous, first of all. Okay. And then also, how do you bring in more of making it seem less like a job and more like, a calling when you have that calling.
Right. Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because I think that's always been one of my superpowers, even in the corporate space, was, figuring out when something wasn't working, recognizing it, and then making a shift. And that's what I've done throughout my career. And that's why I was able to build roles for myself, because I would get to this point where I'm like, this isn't exactly aligning with what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I was doing a lot of compliance work. I'm like, this is not fitting. I'm an artist at heart. I've got to be creative. Where can I tap into something that allows me to do that, which supporting people through change does. It takes a lot of creativity, especially when you're supporting organizations. And so I allowed myself to do that with my business as well. I listened to, what my needs were and what was going to be fulfilling to me, because what's the point of doing this if it's not going to be fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
So, I made that change.
Okay, after all of that, what's your one word that you think explains who you are?
Oh my gosh, the one word, I am passionate.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think anything I do, I put my whole heart into it. Yeah. I don't do anything that I'm not really excited about. Yeah. That I say I don't. I might start and then
and that
when I
goes,
realize, right?
Yeah, but that goes back to what you actually said earlier about, starting and then you went,
Exactly.
I need to pivot here. I need to change a little bit. But, again, having the courage to do that is important, but also being able to see that too.
Yes.
Because sometimes people are like, you know what? I told myself I was going to do this and I can't make any changes, which I wouldn't call them mistakes, but they could be seen as mistakes.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about success and failure.
Okay.
Because I think they kind of go together. And I wouldn't say that, making a pivot in the beginning is a failure, really. No. I think that is, having the knowledge and the courage to be able to say, you know what, this isn't working out in this one part. And I really want to see this other part, the personal coaching, come in. So I'm going to make a shift.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about, success and failure.
Yeah. It's funny because, success in this business for me has been really just getting the business up and running. Mm-hmm. It's been taking the leap and following through and, letting all the nerves and everything not get the best of me. I remember when I got to the point where I had put my website together and it was ready to launch. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to put this out to the world. People will be able to search my name, search my company, and see all that I've put together. Like, is this good enough? Am I ready? And to get to that point and actually be able to do it, to be able to start putting myself out there, that was a huge success for me. It's really vulnerable. And I didn't realize how vulnerable it was going to be. So that was a huge success for me, and persevering and continuing to go and push when I'm, not getting the client that I thought I was going to get. Where like, this is a sure thing. I'm going to get this client, and then it just not landing. But still moving forward. I would say that's where I've really seen the most success for me, or felt the most success. It feels empowering. In terms of failure, I don't even know that I can say that I've had that yet. Some might say not getting those clients would be a failure, but for me, it's a learning experience. I always say when mistakes happen, when errors happen, or when we have, quote unquote failures, those are really growth moments. That's what it is for me. I don't know. I try and spin it, I guess. And so I don't know that I've had any failures yet.
You have to spin it, because no doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
Exactly.
Because I always feel like, what, sometimes no actually is because you're meant to do something else.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people look at their careers and they go, how did I get here? Because they've made changes that, are an upward trajectory. And yet it's not at all what they actually envisioned it to be.
Absolutely.
And I think more people need to try things. Whenever I talk to young people, which I do a lot, I tell them, try things that are outside of your comfort zone. Don't you think that is super important?
100%.
Yeah.
You have to stretch yourself. You have to do things that are different from what you would normally do, because then you don't know what you're capable of if you don't, right? And it's funny because, I mentioned I'm an actress as well. And I think that's really helped me through doing this business, because when you're auditioning, one of the things you learn is it's not your role. It was never your role. You're going in there and you're trying to win that role, and you're having fun and you're playing and you're trying different things in the hopes that, they're going to want what you're giving them. And that's really what I'm doing now too. When I'm seeking out a client, maybe not my one-to-one personal coaching clients, but in terms of organizations, it's like I'm giving them what I think will be best for them. What will be helpful for them based on their needs. And then if it's what they're looking for, it's what they're looking for, and they'll choose me. But they were never my client until they were my client. Yeah.
Well, being an actress sounds like the most terrifying thing I could ever imagine.
You'd be great.
Oh, geez. It sounds so terrifying. I can't even imagine. But I kind of like how you brought that back together of that's actually something that has helped prepare you.
Yeah.
And I think everything in our lives helps prepare us. Oh, yeah. My parents got divorced when I was 11. I felt like I was always thrown into these crazy, high conflict, scary situations. I'm like, now I'm like, throw me into the worst. I got this. And, I think, that helps us every single thing that happens in our life. So let's just kind of talk about the dreaded work-life balance.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a coach for that.
Well, don't you feel like some days you're doing well and other days you're like, how did I get here? Why is this happening? It's not good.
100%. Especially, again, when you're starting your own business.
Yes,
like I've been,
100%.
I would still say I'm in my infancy. I'm only a year in.
Yeah.
And probably even less since I had some fun and took some vacations last year and all of that. But yeah, it is... It's just a really interesting process.
Yeah.
It's just a really interesting process.
Well, but the balance, I think, there are moments where you feel like you've got it under control. But I would say in the early part of a business, it's going to feel like it's so out of balance for quite a while.
Yeah, because
quite
it's
a
like
while.
I've even had to talk to my husband. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to do work sometimes on the weekends because, trying to fit in the kids' activities with, fitting things into your schedule with clients and trying to figure out what that schedule should look like so that it's accommodating to your life. Because one of the reasons I did this too is so that I could have more flexibility to do the things that I love.
Yes.
To do the other things that I'm passionate about, like the writing, like the acting, like hobbies. I'm like, I want to get into woodworking. So how does that work into my life, right?
No sleep.
Right? I'm like, how do I schedule this in?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is challenging. I used to love cooking, and now I'm like, I gotta cook. But I have to figure that out.
You'll probably get back to it.
I will.
Again, I feel like, the whole part of not having everything under control is a season, and it does come back. And it's just those moments where, again, in the beginning, you start your own business, you've got to pour more into it. Yeah. Just like when the babies are 100% you're 100% responsible. They can't even feed themselves.
Right.
And so again, it's kind of a season.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes through. Yeah. But there can be discouragement in that, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Because especially like I said, I took this endeavor on. I took this risk of going into creating my own business so that I could be more in control of my work-life balance and have more flexibility. So when you get into it and you're like, whoa, like this is not what I thought. I feel like I'm working all the time. I work from home too, right? And so my work is always around me.
Yeah.
How you feel like you can't escape it.
Right.
And so, yeah, it can be discouraging. But at the same time, I was volunteering in my kids' classes every Friday.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done that if I were working in corporate. I built that into my schedule, and it was important to me and important to them. And so, those are the moments when I'm in the classroom and I'm seeing my son progress and I get to be a part of that I'm reminded, okay, I did this for this reason. Yeah.
And the long-term benefits actually for working for yourself.
Yeah.
Really can be very rewarding. A little scary at times, of course, when in those tough seasons, but when it's all kind of coming together, which, isn't in the very beginning, obviously, but when it all comes together, there is so much joy well, because you did something, right? And then also being able to spend that time and be more flexible with it.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about when you've led men in your previous job.
Okay.
Did you ever feel any resistance, or was it just simple?
Oh gosh, that's a really good
I laugh
question.
when I say simple.
I know, right? It's like I think I would have to take some time to really think about that in those individual moments. I mostly led women in my career, which is funny. Especially working, I think, in corporate security and being around a lot of former military. You would think I would have a lot of male employees. A lot of it was administrative, which, tends to trend more female.
Yeah.
But you know what? No, I think, I built this reputation for being someone that could help support people in their career. And I think when it came to my male employees, they felt that as well. They felt like I could be a good coach and support system and mentor and a guide. And so I didn't get much resistance to those that I led. Now, those that I worked with in some instances, it might have been a little bit different from time to time, especially being a Black woman, not just being a woman. I would have some interesting experiences. Yeah.
Do you want to share any specific details, or it's okay if you don't? But
the one that always sticks out to me, and I even shared this with my fellow leadership team. I'll never forget. I was in a meeting, and I'm explaining why we should go in a certain direction, and I can be pretty assertive in a very positive way, if you will. And I'll never forget one of the men in the meeting. He said, "Well, we should get a manager or someone else. Is there someone else that has an opinion on this or can make that call?" And I'm like, "Yeah, me. I'm the person. That's why I'm here." And it was like, And so that was one of the experiences that I had, but. Again, it's probably because he didn't know me very well. I had built a pretty good reputation at my company, and I felt like I was highly valued. So I was fortunate in that way.
So let's take just a quick minute for a smart stop to hear from our sponsor, but I really want to get back to that.
Okay, sounds good.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the US and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com.
So you think that he was trying to make a decision around you, or he thought that someone else was better qualified? Interesting. How did that make you feel?
I actually felt sad for him because, it just shows how close-minded some can be.
Yeah.
And not seeing that I was a perfectly capable individual beyond being a woman or a Black woman. I was a perfectly capable individual. I had all the information that was needed. And it also, believe it or not, felt kind of empowering because I was able to really, say, hey, I'm the one. I was able to own my power in a way that I maybe don't always. And so
I like that. Yeah. I like that. I always, sometimes at work, I hear, you should probably, and I always think, whenever I hear that, I'm thinking I probably shouldn't. Because most of the time it's trying to change my leadership style. And, I lead with a lot of love, which I can tell you do too.
Absolutely.
And I just, what? It doesn't always work. Like leadership is not the same for every person. And I guess that's one of the things, and I'm sure you talk about that a lot in your coaching. Yeah. No one's going to be exactly the same.
Absolutely not.
And, that difference, I think, is really what brings that beautiful uniqueness to each one of us. I'm sure you share that all the time with your
absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm growing other leaders.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, especially a brand new leader, they take the same approach with everyone. But we're all human. We all have different experience and lived experiences and different worldviews.
Yep.
And that comes into play when you're leading people.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to build relationships beyond the workplace. And I don't mean you have to be friends with everybody. You don't have to give them all of yourself, but really understanding who they are and maybe what they experience outside of the workplace is important to really helping to develop them, to coaching them, and to supporting them in their role.
So one of the things I'm sure you talk about all the time is role models. When I think of a role model, I think not only are they going to influence me in a positive way, but there's sometimes I see people and I go, okay, they're not exactly a role model, but I need to learn from them because I absolutely do not want to do things the way that they do them because I see it as negative. I mean, don't you think that's kind of this, like really important too?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You always have to see the good and the bad, if you will, in everything.
For sure.
And take lessons from it. And I would wager to say that I might have had more bad role models than good role models in my life.
What not to do.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's personally and professionally, So
do you have any role models that you'd like to share with us?
Sure, yeah. I mean, the one that I always think about first is my mother. Growing up, she had a lot on her hands. My dad was a Marine. He served 21 years. And, when you're a Marine, you do a lot of travel away from home. You can't always be, a present partner, physically present. Yeah. And she did it all. She worked part-time. She went back to school in her 30s and got her degree. And she was an excellent mother. Yeah. I mean, I learned so many lessons that I bring into my own motherhood journey. And I could tell she inspired my brother too, who also went to college later in life, and nice. It inspired me to get my MBA. I don't know that I would have done that in my 30s, get my MBA, if it weren't for her and seeing what's possible. Because it was definitely an effort.
I love that. So let's talk about lessons learned. Okay, so you walk into a group of young women, and we actually were in a group together with young women. But what would you say is the most important lesson learned that you've learned that they could apply to their lives?
My most important lesson would be to be authentic.
Yeah,
I think it was really hard early on in my career because I think I was working from a position of safety and almost scarcity. I wanted to make sure I keep my job. I wanted to make sure I fit in. I wanted to make sure my managers liked me. I didn't want to compromise my position. I wanted to make sure that I grew. But unfortunately, in doing that, I wasn't authentic to myself and how I maybe behaved or presented myself. But I learned, along the way that, I had the most power when I was the most authentic, when I was true to myself, my beliefs, when I, wore my actual hair into the office, when I, had my afro, regardless of what people thought, I felt the most comfortable in my own skin and was able to do my best work because of that. It's hard when you're playing a role and not being yourself. And so, I mean, that's always critical to just be yourself, and you develop trust that way. I feel like people could really engage with me and be their selves, which is really important, when I was doing the same. So yeah, I would say to be authentic.
I love this so much. I can't even begin to tell you. So, a lot of times when I talk to people, I'm like, just don't change because someone wants you to be something that you're not.
Right.
So it is kind of the same thing. And so many people fall into that trap because they go, oh, well, I want to be more like, and when we talk about role models, I think it's important for people to see, and I want your opinion on this, that it's okay to have a role model, but you don't have to do things exactly their way.
For sure.
Having that, bringing that authenticity is so important because that's your unique, special you.
Exactly.
And I love that you've done that. But I do have a question. Do you think that it has to do with age, or do you think it has to do with the confidence because you are more comfortable in your job and how you're doing it? Or is it both? I don't know.
I would say a combination of both.
Probably, yeah.
So yeah, I think it took a level of maturity and me growing up a little bit to get to that point. And And then I think, too, getting to a point where I felt comfortable, where I felt, again, like I said, I was really valued. I felt in my company. I got to the point where people could trust me, and they knew that I was, experienced and had the knowledge to back up, everything that I was doing. So then, it made me more comfortable to be able to be myself. At the same time, too, I think, my own personal experiences growing up, not having the most confidence, dealing with some mental health issues, feeling like I wasn't ever really living my life. I got to this point where I'm like, I can't keep going on like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to be me. I'm not here forever. And I don't want to have any regrets. And I want people to know who I am. And I want to be happy with the person I present. And like you said, there's only one me. Yeah. And that's what makes me special.
And it's amazing, by the way.
Well, thank you.
It's amazing. So, I've had so many women tell me that they feel like they're living in imposter syndrome. What are your thoughts about that? And do you have your clients actually coming forward and talking about that at all?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's probably the main commonality that we have as women, especially women in business, especially in spaces that are predominantly male, that we might experience that. Imposter syndrome. I have a love-hate relationship with that, because it's really our inner critic that's, the one, leading the way when it comes to imposter syndrome. And I'm not ashamed to say I am in therapy regularly. I recommend that everybody
heck yes
regularly. It is incredibly helpful. And one of the things I do in therapy is parts work. It's like internal family systems. Shout out to my therapist Rachel. She would love me talking about this. But it's recognizing those parts of yourself, and really honoring them. And oftentimes we try and shove down that inner critic, and ignore it and tell it to go away because we feel like it's a detriment to us. When we should really be paying attention to it, talking to it, really understanding what purpose it feels like it serves, because then we can actually deal with it head on instead of trying to constantly push it down, because all parts of us serve some sort of purpose. And so I try and understand that part of myself and why it's there, because it's trying to protect me in some way. Sometimes I think it's trying to humble me in some way. Which sometimes it probably should. But yeah, I don't ignore it. I'll just say that. Like everything else, take it head on.
Well, so I have a question for you, because do you coach men and women, or just women?
I predominantly coach women, but I'm open to coaching anybody that's looking for help.
So the thing that's kind of swirling around my mind as you're talking about this, is it women that are our worst enemies as far as our critic, or is it both men and women? We're our own worst critic, because I would say that women. I mean, let's face it. We look at a magazine or we watch television and we think, this is the one cookie cutter that I'm supposed to fit in, and I don't look like that. I'm not. I'm older. I don't have that perfect body, which most of the time it's airbrushed. But I think the beautiful thing about women is we're all different colors, we're all different faces, shapes, all of it. But there's always something that's underlying beautiful about us.
Absolutely.
But I think we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Harsh, just really harsh.
Incredibly harsh.
Yeah.
And to your point, I think it's because of a lot of the standards that are put out there.
Yes.
Right. And we're pushed on us since being a child, right? It's not even just something that happens as we grow older. And so it gets ingrained in us. And unfortunately, we do that to one another, right?
Not everyone, but yes,
not
I agree
everyone.
with that.
I don't do it, right?
I
You
don't
probably
either.
don't do
no,
it.
I don't do it. No. But I talk about that a lot too. Mean Girls, because Mean Girls, I just don't understand them. I just think there's a seat for all of us at the table.
100%.
And you know what? There's always going to be someone that's more beautiful, more smart, more educated, more dresses better. I mean, more. Everyone, there's going to be someone that's always more in your mind. But again, back to our harsh critics of ourselves.
Absolutely.
What is the psychology behind that?
It's funny. I've talked about this with coworkers before, and my therapist. And, it really comes from, I believe, a place of scarcity. Especially, again, I come from corporate tech. women are not the majority by far in that space. And so you feel like, okay, there can't be very many of us. I don't want someone to take my place. I don't want, so it gets kind of competitive in a way, and not for everybody. Again, I've not felt that way because again, I felt like I was pretty secure in the value that I brought, but not everyone is. And so we just need more women that aren't trying to hold their seat at the table and take up space. We need more women that are going to make room.
Agreed.
And so, right?
I agree with it.
And so that's what I try and do. I try to mentor and coach other women to take a seat at the table with me.
I think that's your lesson that you need to share. I think absolutely that's what your wisdom is to impart on other women. To make the seat at the table, you don't need to take someone else's seat. Create your own space.
Absolutely.
I love it.
100%.
Mallory, you are a rock star. What's next for you?
What's next? I mean, I'm going to continue to learn and grow. I have this addiction to developing and learning new things. I'm even taking a yoga certification course. I've always just been really curious about the practice, and that's something that I want to give to my children so that they can start to learn to practice mindfulness and stress reduction. Continue acting and enjoying my life and writing and growing my business, and hopefully get to the point one day where I can bring people into my business and help to grow them into their own as well.
I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
you. I'll be watching you. I'll see what you're doing in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me, Rebecca.
Thank you.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.